Blocks directress, Ms. Munira, to talk about a few technical aspects of Montessori, which help you understand what we have been experiencing and how to link both of these together, and see how wonderful we have created a small one, world around us with children from the Montessori side. Uh, if you guys are familiar, we also have seen a very different education policy being framed in the last 1.5, 2 years. And the entire focus is on the holistic development of a child. And what we have been seeing with our child, who's now 7, for the last 3.5, 4 years, is exactly in the same direction. Uh, Ideally, I would have loved to grown up in a Montessori school as well. I keep telling Pawan and Munira the same, that do you admit adults as well as part of your curriculum? The straight answer was no. You've already been spoiled. We can improve you further, right? But thankful that we had a chance about 4 years back. So I think sometimes during the same month, November, when we visited Pawan and Munira, and I'll request my wife, Sandhya, lovely wife here, to share a few experiences from there.
Yeah, so it's been very enduring to understand the Montessori method. We were very new as parents. A child of a 2-year-old, we thought we had enough time to homeschool her. We have parents, grandparents, everybody around. But we crossed through the Montessori blue blocks, and we finally realized there's much more to what we were doing. So the first thing when we actually thank Pawan and Munira is we had to undo our learnings of stopping gadgets while eating, or of letting them be more independent. So we were given a lot of prerequisites to be sure that we can actually, be a Montessori parent before we even have a Montessori child. And while we did this, and of course the multiple discussions we had with Pawan and Munira, we realized Montessori is not only just a concept, it is a learning for the parents, and then how the child will evolve. And it's been just a beautiful experience. We started our dear Amira at the age of about 2.5, and today she is 7. So we've seen her transition from a very young toddler who is very dependent on us to a very independent girl who today says, "Mom, I can do my stuff. You can take care of the little one." And not only that, but she actually pushes us to do our own thing so she can help the little one. So it's been a fortunate methodology of Montessori itself has taught us personally as parents to do a lot and to relearn what we were doing or what we had done as basic, board students ourselves. So, and I've been fortunate, in fact, when I sit on her virtual classes, I've been very fortunate to even understand very new concept myself. So thank you, everybody. And it's just been a lovely experience.
Yeah, one first question that we were asked during the discussions, I think Pawan was there, what do you want your child to become when she grows up? And I was like, what is the answer that they are expecting? I did not want to give the answer as an engineer, doctor, architect, or whatever. I said, okay, let me be true to myself. I said, we don't want her to become a product. We just want her to be what she wants to be, and as a good human being and a citizen. And back came the reply that had you answered engineer or an architect or a doctor, we would have requested you to move out immediately. So I think that left a huge impression immediately to start with. And I thought this is something really different and something which is more tuned to, your human-centric way of growing up for a child. With that, I'll just bring up one small video that we created, and just bear with me for a second. It's about a 40-second only. So. Right. There you go. And So that was a short, cute video of some of our experiences along with Amira, our little daughter. With that, I would like to introduce Miss Munira, who is a directress from Blue Blocks, the Montessori School, and to talk about some basic philosophies of Montessori and how do you tie that up with the human-centric, way of growing up for a child. Munira.
Thank you so much, Manish. I would really like to thank all the parents, Blue Blocks parents present here, Manish, Sandhya, Sugandhi, Mohit, Karthik, Shravani, Siddharth, and Priti, and your counterparts who are not with us today right now. So thank you so much for putting this together and having me in this session to share a little bit about Montessori. So my name is Munira Hussain, and I'm the co-founder and director of Blue Blocks. We started Blue Blocks in the year 2009 after we had completed our Montessori training. So, we have heard Manish say so much about the Montessori philosophy, Montessori method, and how he would have loved to join as a child in a Montessori school. So why and what is the relevance of this system and this philosophy today? So Montessori as a philosophy basically caters to the child's inner needs. See, what it believes in is that the child at every age has certain needs and certain innate potential and powers. The philosophy believes in bringing that out in children. It is not about the subjects that are taught in it. It is not about the concepts that are learned or what it is that the child is going to take and utilize in his studies. But it is more to do with life itself. So Dr. Montessori, the propounder of this philosophy, always said that education is aid for life, and that's what the Montessori system actually does with children. That's what it tries to imply, and that's what it tries to work with children. So in the Montessori system, we believe that children are children have these different phases of development. So 0 to 6 is the formative year, is a formative phase where the child's basic powers, potentials, all the mental faculties and the human functions are developing, like language. There are movement patterns, there is intellectual development that is happening, there's emotional development that's happening at that age. That's the time children start becoming a little bit social after the age of 3.5 years. So how does one cater to all these developments? The Montessori system looked at children. It was like Dr. Montessori observed children over a period of more than 25 years. She observed children in different setups, in different kinds of schools, in different kinds of environments, and realized that all children across the world have the same kinds of needs, and if those needs are catered to. For example, if we look at an 8 or 9 month old child who's crawling all over the house and trying to pick up tiny little objects. We have all seen that with our young children, isn't it? That is nothing but a need to develop the pincer grip. That's the grip of the thumb moving against the fingers. Just like this, every development that the child has is expressed as a need. And this need needs to be fulfilled with the interaction in the environment. If we look at the education system that we have in place today, the regular education system, that is a set pattern. And children have to adapt themselves to this set pattern. Whereas the Montessori education is a philosophy and it adapts itself to the needs of the child in that time and place. And that's what I think helps the Montessori system stand out and really become the need of the hour today. If we look at the situation that we are in right now, nothing could have prepared us for the pandemic. Nothing could have, told us that, okay, this is coming next 2 years, so be prepared for it. But life in general can be prepared for, or at least we can prepare our children for things that they're not prepared for, isn't it? And that's, in a way, what the Montessori philosophy and the Montessori system does with children. So it is a system that is adapted to the child's needs. It believes in offering those concepts to children the way children can accept it best. If I was to ask some of you, the age group, whatever age group your children are, let's say, from the 0 to 10 or 12 years age group, would your children like to work with materials and activities using their hands, or would they like to learn from a book theoretically? I'm sure most of you would answer that, oh, they would love to work with activities, they would like to make things, they like to tinker. Now, that is the opportunity that this philosophy provides the children. And that's the reason at Blue Blocks, we don't call our classrooms. They're called environments. And they are full of amazing material. They're full of scientifically designed didactic material, which help children explore every subject, every concept in its entirety. And there is no limitation to this learning that the children have in the environment. So let's say a child is interested in mathematics. There is no limit to how much the child can learn or how much the child can explore, as against, again, for lack of a better system, I'm comparing the Montessori to the traditional. In the traditional, there is a book that is how much the child will learn in a certain academic year. When it comes to Montessori, there is no such limitation. Let's say we have introduced children to multiplication and they are working with 2-digit multiplication today. Tomorrow, the same child wants to do 3. No teacher will in the Montessori system will tell the child that, hey, you know what, this is not in the syllabus of this year, so do it next year. The child has the capacity to go beyond himself. And that is the opportunity that is provided in the environment. And that's probably why, we can proudly say that this is the need of the hour today, because children in today's time and age, with a world which is rapidly changing. In fact, we were talking about generations just when we started this session, and there is a generation gap now within every 10 years, within a decade, because the world is so rapidly increasing and it's moving at a very fast pace. Are we preparing our children for this kind of a world? Are we giving them a sense of understanding that whatever it is that you do in life, as long as you're a good human being, as long as you are a contributing member of the society, that makes you a valid citizen of the future? And when Pawan and I started Blue Blocks in the year 2009, so we have 2 branches of Blue Blocks, one in Gachibowli and the other in Telapur. When we started off with Blue Blocks, we were very excited that we were starting a Montessori school. We knew that Montessori is a system that is really required for today's generation, and we wanted to really scale it up. We thought, okay, we've started the school, within a couple of years, we'll have multiple branches. And, we will really grow leaps and bounds in terms of having more schools all across the city. Within the first couple of years, we realized that that's not what drove us. Like, we could have easily had multiple branches and scaled it up big time, but that's not what drove us. What drove us was the fact that, are we giving the very best that we can to children? Are we giving everything that children in today's time and age require, which will help them become the future of the world? We are blessed to be working with, the most amazing community in our world today. Like, we are working with children, and we have this privilege of making a difference to their future and to the future of the world. And we take that job really, really seriously. And that's probably where, we decided that we don't want to have multiple branches, but we want to focus our entire time and energy to this, limited group of children that we have. But we want to ensure that every child becomes a future contributing member of the society, and not just somebody who's consuming the society. So that's, what I would like to share about the Montessori philosophy and the perspective from which we have worked in the last 12 years. So thank you, Manish. Back to you.
Much appreciate the building blocks of Blue Blocks Montessori. I think that's very nicely put. I would like to also request Mohit and Sugandhi to share some interesting growing up years of your little daughter Trisha, and you guys find different.
She's not little anymore, Manish. She's like a grandmother. No, but I definitely, before we share our experience, I just want to thank Munira, for sharing that, because a lot of things that you said are what we were looking forward to when we joined the Montessori environment, right? Our daughter Trisha, she's 9 now. We have been associated with Blue Blocks since 2013. She was 2 years at that time. And we started with the Gachibowli campus, and now she has moved into the Tellapur campus. So it's been a very enriching journey for us as parents. I mean, the child obviously is enjoying it a lot, but I think thanks a lot to Pavan and Munira for introducing us to the Montessori system. Although we've had a little bit of a background in Montessori, because Sugandhi has taught in a Montessori environment for about 4 years in Seoul, South Korea. So we kind of had an idea, even before we had Trisha, we had an idea about the Montessori system from an international perspective. So when we came back to Hyderabad, it was an easier decision for us to go that route. We both are not, of course, from that background. But just to steal something from Manish, when he mentioned that he spoke to Pavan and Munira about adults joining, before I could even approach them, my daughter said no. so so that's how it is. But our experience has been wonderful, to say the least, over the last 6.5, 7 years that we have been associated with Blue Blocks. In between, actually, it was a couple of years back, we did try the traditional schooling system route in one of the older traditional schools in Hyderabad. But a few weeks into that, we gauged that Trisha, her enthusiasm, her excitement towards learning, her overall energy level actually was coming down. So at that juncture, we had already committed, so we couldn't do much about it at that time. But we knew that this was not the right move for the child. So the following academic year, we came back to Blue Blocks and we requested Munira and Pavan, and they, very graciously took her back into the system. And it's been 2 years now since that time, and she's just doing fantastic work, to say the least. See, as a parent, when we started off, the whole purpose of education for me would be that eventually I would like the child to become independent, right? So it's important in today's day and age for them to think independently, behave independently, right? And I found that she is now on that kind of a path, which is very exciting for me as a parent. The time when she was not in Blue Blocks, it was difficult for us because we had taken that decision. And, unfortunately, the child had to suffer for it. But be that as it may, she's back on track now. So we are very happy about that. And a large part of that goes to, thanks to the Blue Blocks management. I would definitely want to single out the directresses at Blue Blocks, because they are the heart and soul. I mean, it's like a punishment if our children have to not attend school, which is totally opposite of what I used to do. I mean, we didn't have school. We used to go crazy. But these kids love going to school. And I think a lot of that has to do with the capability of the directors engaging them on a daily basis. It's a new thing every day. So they have something new to wake up to every morning. And they really love it. I mean, some of the parents who are considering Montessori, I think it would be a good idea for you to visit the school, go into the environment and actually see the vastness of the material that is available there. I mean, we have had some of the observation sessions for an hour. And the last time I was there, I refused to leave. I think Miss Priya had to literally ask me to leave because it is, you feel so excited seeing so much material. We've never seen this before, right? So it's great that our children are getting exposure to something like that. Again, thinking out of the box, thinking three-dimensionally or multidimensionally, multifaceted problem solving, I think that's a very important part of today's world. it is a very aggressive world out there, very competitive. And if they have a multi-dimensional way of thinking and resolving things, I think it only adds that much more value to them as an individual, right? I mean, that's just my personal take to it, but I feel a lot of parents would agree to this. So it's been a wonderful experience, Munira. Thank you so much again, and we look forward to continuing a relationship with you all for many more years to come. I'll ask Sugandhi to share some of her thoughts at this point.
I don't think there's much to say. You've said it all. So thanks so much, Munira. Yeah, we decided to make that change based on a lot of things which we didn't agree with. But we wanted to try it out and see if there's going to be a difference. And we realized that I think she never complained. She was good. In fact, her teachers thought she did really well and they were very happy with her. But like he said, there was a lot of drop in energy. In general, I think she just became quiet. She wasn't that interested in school or in activities. So we found a lot of change and we thought it would be best for us to move her back. So
see, we actually assessed it with the school at that time. We did our own introspection ourselves, and we found, I think the issue that was lacking was the freedom of expression. All right, the freedom of kind of going beyond your capability, not capability really, but the thirst for learning more. So it was restricted in a particular way, as Munira pointed out, which is not the case with Montessori. So it was important for us to understand that the child is looking for something more than what we were giving her at that juncture, right? So that was one of the reasons why we said, okay, this was not the right move for us, for our child. And we brought her back into an environment which she was comfortable exploring in multi-different ways, right?
So it was a learning for us too. So now we appreciate it more because we see the difference, right? Of course, we knew this is what we wanted for her, but since we saw the change and since we saw the difference, we appreciate it more.
Perfect. That was really sweet of you to share, and it reminded me one of the latest advertisements of Airtel, and it said, "Okay, you don't want to stay on Airtel, go try others out, and then see if you want to come back." Right? And it was remarkable because they were forcing people to go and change and use others, and then realize whether it is good, bad, ugly, and come back if not. Right? So,
yeah, but I wouldn't say Munira and Pawan were Airtel for us. Okay? They never said that go and try something else. No. That was a total internal decision on our part. But that's the experience we wanted to share with everybody. So once again, thank you, Munira, and we look forward to engaging with you all for several more years to come.
Thank you, Mohit and Sugandhi. Pleasure to hear you as well. At this juncture, I would request Kairav's mom, Kriti. Kairav, I think, is about 6-year-old Kriti, if I'm correct.
Yeah, so Kairav is 6 years old, and he just turned 6 years in November. So he's been going to Blue Blocks since. So in fact, he got admission in Blue Blocks on his 2nd birthday. So it was almost like a birthday gift from us to him, something that would stay with him for the rest of his life, and something that hopefully he will be thankful for. So that was, he was 2 years old. He went to the toddler environment, and I think we've seen him grow holistically in all these years. And I think one thing that I wanted to point out here is that, as very young parents, as new parents, this was also development for us as parents. There were so many times when I reached out to Munira or to the directresses and said that, oh God, he's making a mess. Why are you teaching him to, do things with his hands and, do things with food? And then they were like, he can clean it up. And I said, oh, really? Can he do that? Is he allowed to do that? So then they said that, of course, he has to clean up whatever. And today, I'll give you an example from just last night. So we have this little puppy, and in Kairav's playroom, we have a lot of cushions. So they were playing around with, cushions and puppy. And then I said, okay, let's go sleep. So I took the puppy and I said, Kairav, come. And he didn't come. So 5 minutes later, I went back and all the cushions were back in place, things were settled. And I was stunned. I was like, how are you even doing this? And then, of course, I would completely give this to Blue Blocks, and the fact that they actually start by teaching the child to be independent, rather than anything else. It's independence. It's how you eat yourself, how you put things back in place, and how just simple things like, that if you finished your food, then the plate has to go into the sink, and even better if you can just wash it. But I think all our children have done those kind of things, and he's picked up on these little life skills that I'm so proud of today. So I'm just sharing a little. I've just made like a slideshow with a few of his pictures right from the age of 2 years. And I just give me like a few seconds because I'm a little not that great with Zoom, but okay. Are you able to see that?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll just start that. So this is right from the age of 2, and here he's learning how to pour water, which he still does all the time. But you see the concentration, and the way he's laid out the mat, and there's that cup and cooler, and he's doing that. And then here he's learning how to wash his clothes.
Wow.
As a 2 years old, he's washing clothes, and then he's putting on that little rack. And then here, this is chana pounding. I think this is probably the most favorite activity for all Blue Block children.
Completely agree.
Yeah, so after this chana pounding, they actually go around the class and share with their friends. And then here they're learning how to play with different instruments. This is all in the toddler section. So this is when they come as little babies. And today when I look back, I always I tell Rahul that we should have sent him 6 months earlier, probably when he was about 14 or 15 months old. But anyways, he went at 2. This is I think this is around when he was 4 years old, or even earlier. I don't kind of remember, but this is, so here he's actually trying to use his senses to match colors. So in Blue Blocks, they actually taught him sensorially, the matching of colors before they actually gave the names. So at this stage, he probably did not know the names of these colors, but he was able to match them. And then once he was able to do this, then he got the names, from the directress. Here he's using the number rod. So this is going from 10, 9, 8. And the funny thing was that after he learned his 1 to 10, he was interested in fractions. So, from 1 to 10, he went directly onto fractions, and he was doing fractions with little knobs and circles. And that time I asked the directress, I said, is this okay that he just knows 1 to 10 and he's not doing anything else? He wants to do fractions. And she said, why not? If he wants to do fractions, if he wants to learn fractions, why not? So he actually did fractions when he was much younger. Then, and that was because his environment was a mixed age environment. So there were children right from 2.5 to 6 years old. So probably an older child who was doing fractions, and he was interested in his work or her work. And that's how he got introduced to fractions, just after learning numbers. This is something called the knobless cylinders. So this is, he's putting them size-wise. I don't know so I'm so sorry, but I don't know exactly, so there are these different materials that he does them. So that's what he's doing. And then here is a video. This is from the lockdown. So I'll just play it. So even all through the lockdown, sorry about that. Yeah. So all through the lockdown, Blue Blocks has actually done, the directors they've done meticulous planning, and, they've really kept them engaged. We are not even in Hyderabad, but the material has actually reached us here in Chandigarh. and every month the material comes, and we are working with this. And I just wanted to say that even during this lockdown, I've not had like a dearth of material, or I've never been out of ideas of what to do. So thank you, Munira, thank you, Pawan, and thank you to all the directresses for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kriti. Thanks for sharing that. And while we talked about a lot of activities that happen, I think interesting to note is that these activities have application of mathematics and science, right? And you end up learning a lot of it indirectly, implicitly, and then sometimes explicitly, right? And that's probably the beauty of it. You don't force the child to learn; you facilitate the learning process. I think that's some thing that Munira and Pawan from Blue Blocks had shared with us, that we are not teachers, we are facilitators for learning, and your child will learn on your own based on what we provide. So that was quite interesting facets. Thank you for sharing that, Kriti. I bring back Ms. Munira in again, to see how we can relate what the parents have shared so far, with the Blue Block philosophy, and expand further on what you were mentioning in your previous session.
Thank you so much for that and lovely presentation, Kriti. And to share a lot of things which have touched your heart, to share things like what Sugandhi and Mohit shared about how they wanted to try something else out and they came back. I mean, to share it in this kind of a forum it really takes a lot. So thank you for doing that today, and for really pouring your hearts out and letting parents know. It shows your commitment for all the other parents who are on this call today. So taking this conversation a little bit further, I will just take 2 to 3 minutes to speak about, what are the basic tenets of the Montessori philosophy. Everybody has spoken a little bit here and there about everything, but it all boils down to children becoming independent in life. And how does that independence emerge? So what is the process of the independence to come over a period of time? It's definitely not going to come overnight. It's not going to come, with the existing methodology that we have. So there has to be a shift somewhere. So one of the first things that we want every parent to realize is that birth itself is the biggest act of independence. The fact that child required the mother's womb for 9 months and after that does not and pushes his or her way out itself proves that every child requires independence and can live an independent life given the opportunity. So it must begin at birth. The concept, the perspective of independence has to be present right from birth. And independence can only come in an environment where there is freedom for the child. So the freedom that we are talking about, is not freedom which is absolute. Okay, that child is free to do anything in the environment. So a lot of, Montessori adults speak about freedom, but probably forget to say that this freedom comes with its own limitations. It comes with its boundaries. So while we tell children that you're free to take anything in this environment, we also tell them that you're free to select from all those activities that have already been shown to you. The ones that are not shown to you, you can always come to us and ask for a presentation. So that is a freedom that is provided with limitation. And there are different kinds of freedom that is provided to children. So there is freedom for communication, which leads to the quality of expression in children. So Mohit spoke about how they felt that, her expression was being restricted. And that's because in a traditional environment, the children cannot talk whenever or how much ever they want to. But if you were to observe a Montessori environment, and Dr. Montessori always gave this example, she said that a Montessori environment is not supposed to be quiet like a graveyard, but it's supposed to be buzzing like, the buzzing sound of the worker bees. Because that's how the environment needs to be. So if any of you were to step into our environments at any time, you will see there's so much chatter. So there are these 4-5 children working together, doing an activity and constantly talking. It might sound or it might seem like indisciplined behavior, but that's the need for them to be able to communicate with their peers, to be able to express their feelings, their emotions, their thoughts, their opinions. So that's the freedom for expression, that's the freedom for communication. Then there is freedom to work, and there is freedom to not to work. Now, as adults, we all have days where we don't feel like working, right? And probably those days are the ones which, will demand most of your time and attention. But in the environment, children have that. If they don't feel like working, they're free to go ahead and say, today I don't feel like working. I just want to observe. And the mixed age group provides the opportunity for children to observe the work that elder children are doing, to observe the work that the peer group is doing, to observe the work that the younger children are doing, and gives them the sense of a community rather than just a class. Okay, they are not a class, they are not bound by a certain age group, but they thrive in a community where there are children of different age groups. They learn the concept of empathy when they see a younger child struggling with rolling and unrolling his or her mat. When they see that if I spill water, I don't have to worry about the adults, rolling eyes or shouting at me, but I know an older child will come and help me out here. And that's what they learn as they grow. So this is the amazing quality of the Montessori environment, wherein the mixed age group helps children work and thrive as a community, eventually learn the qualities of collaboration and working together. When we all grew up and we went for interviews, everybody asked us that how good a team player are you? Nobody asked us how many times do you come first in your class? But how good a team player are you? Can you work in a group? Can you work in a team? And that is what is taught to children right from a young age. From the time they are 6, they start working in small groups. And they learn collaboration. They learn how to respect another person's opinion. They learn how to create roles that, okay, in this group, I'm going to be the lead. You will do this thing. And, the other child will do some research. Third child will do the drawing part. So that's how they collaborate and work on different concepts. So the freedom to work and the freedom to not work is also there as an integral part of the Montessori environment, right? So over to you, Manish.
Yeah, thank you for building on that really well. And on this, I'll request Siddharth. Siddharth, if you can, talk about your two little daughters and your experiences mixing up with what was fun, what was really, your experience. You also happened to move overseas in between, if I recall well. So over to you, Siddharth.
Thank you, Manish. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to share my experience. I think you've heard from Munira and from other parents on what are so good about Montessori, and I don't think anybody can do justice to how effective or what are the salient features of Montessori are in a short session like this. There's enough material out there, enough research out there that can validate one's idea of what Montessori is. And anything that I say would mostly be repetitive at this point in time because so much has been covered. So what I did want to do was present 2 or 3 different perspectives. I'm no expert at Montessori. I am not qualified really to speak about Montessori. But what I am is an expert in seeing how my child or children have sort of gone through that phases. So let me share with you guys what couple of experiences that we've had. I have 2 daughters, aged 9 and 7, and both have been with Montessori, from my elder one joined Montessori when she was 2 years old. My younger one actually was when she was 14 months old. So Kriti was talking about going early. We actually did end up going early with the second one. And it was a very different experience in my own schooling, where I used to dread going to a school versus them actually wanting to go to school. I found that very weird. That how can a child want to go to a school? It was not my experience. I didn't want to go to school. So, so one experience that I can we moved to the US, developed nation, lived in California for some time, uh, amongst the most progressive in United States, where there's a lot of debate and discussion about education. So we moved. My daughter was eligible for an admission there only in January. There are some prerequisites in terms of getting a medical test and all that done. So all that said and done, she was ready to join in January. So the first day I took her to the school, her teacher, there was a Mrs. White who was her teacher. So when I introduced Anya to her, she let Anya walk into the classroom, and then what she told me first, literally the first sentence she told me was, you're bringing your daughter halfway through a schooling year. We've covered a lot of ground, and we won't be able to teach her all of that, whatever she has missed. So it's totally on you to figure out how you're going to teach. So, and she said, we'll have to make an assessment of how she's doing, whether she needs to repeat a class. That was also something she said. And I said, okay, fine, let's see how it goes. And then I left to office and I went to pick her up in the afternoon when her class ended. So when I went to pick her up in the afternoon, she came out of the class and I asked the teacher, what did you think? She said, you have nothing to worry, she's ahead of the class. So the fact that she, changed her opinion in 5 hours, from being someone who needed a lot of hand-holding to saying that she was ahead of the class, was a phenomenal transition. And there are many more things that happened in that journey for us. In fact, to a point where we felt she was not challenged enough in the public schooling. So in the US, we moved her into a private school, which was a Montessori school. And even there, what we realized is what Blue Blocks was offering to our child was way, way more than what that school was offering. And trust me, in terms of the amount of money we were paying, it's nowhere even in comparison. But still, like simple things, no Montessori school in California would offer cursive writing. No matter how much I try to show the material which says cursive writing has benefits in brain development, it says we cannot teach cursive writing. We have nobody to teach cursive writing. We can only teach print. So we actually moved her out of public schooling because we felt for her it was a joke. She would go in the morning, she'd come back in the evening. Her friends would ask her, please write cursive for us. Please write for us. This is like, she's being asked to write. There are her peers in the same class who didn't know how to write. So that was one amazing experience that we had. And I was like really awed by that. The other perspective that I wanted to share with you guys was, I'll probably lean on this quote from this movie 3 Idiots, where he says, we want our children to be well educated, not well trained. Right. So, and I had a debate with my wife and with some of my friends for the longest of time. So I was convinced of Montessori even before my kids were born. So I was committed to it. I still am committed to it. And I always told Munira and Pawan that I would like to see my children be in that Montessori world till whatever time it's possible. And so that's the debate I've had. And that is one thing I've realized with Montessori is that it was very different. As you heard from, you saw the pictures as well, right? Classrooms, pictures. Their classrooms are not threadbare. I only remember a threadbare classroom in my own school days. Blackboard, empty benches, people go and sit. Their classrooms are so vibrant, full of light, so many things that, children have freedom to go pick, try. I don't think my children get that freedom in my own house. And I'll be very candid about that. So my children in my own house possibly will not get that degree of freedom that the school allows them in their environments. And I think that is the best endorsement I can give to the school. what the school is giving them is far more than what I would have given. I mean, I have my constraints in terms of how much I work and whatever it is, but we all know that. And I've seen that during these pandemic times as well, when we've not had the chance to go out, the only thing that they've had is books. A textbook never satisfied the needs of my children. They love reading. My daughters are avid readers, but textbooks are not their ball game. I can put a textbook in front of them. They'll probably spend 5 minutes, try a page, and then chuck it on the side and move on. But the time they spend on the activities that the school introduces to them, and in that process learn those concepts. And that's the differentiation between well-trained versus sort of education coming, is that they understand the application of the concepts. That I thought was again very, very different from what we normally learn in a traditional schooling sense. So to me, that was something which stood out. But how is that these children are still engaged? If I was in my situation where my daughters are and doing virtual, I can't, trust me, I don't think I would have joined a single class, or I would have possibly ignored every class. And I know how I grew up. So this wasn't satisfying. Like for me, it would never have satisfied my needs, the traditional thing. My daughters are able to, benefit from that. And so to me, that was very important. And the whole idea that someone is, sort of encouraged to debate, to question, and not just accept a one-sided narrative that a teacher provides, typically standing in front of a blackboard or a whiteboard. To me, that felt very interesting. The third perspective I wanted to share, and this came up with conversations that I've had with Pawan more than probably Munira in this, is that there is the commitment that this team has, not just the two founders, but the team as in the complete teachers, and how they dispense and how much they think about what a child needs going forward. They're talking about introducing ideas that I've heard in corporate life after spending a decade or more in corporate life. And these are like ideas like design thinking. There are like high-end schools that people pay like thousands of dollars to go and attend. And I've done some workshops on design thinking, and I know that like what they're talking resonates with me, which means that I think my children possibly are better geared for the world post education than I ever was. I mean, I had to dredge through my way to get to a point where I was, effective. And I think they will be far more effective, understanding how to work with others, that natural, sort of team player sense that they have. I think that's phenomenal. So I can go on for much longer, but I think I should pause now in the interest of time. Thank you again for giving me the chance. And again, kudos to the team for, doing a wonderful job. I think there's no better endorsement to it that what Munira has mentioned, that the fact that they have not seen it as just a business and exploded or expanded their operations to all over the place, but tried to keep the commitment going is very good. That's my younger daughter, Aditi. She's 7 years, and my elder one must be somewhere reading a book.
She's downstairs.
Okay.
She was sitting on the car engine.
Thanks for that, Siddharth.
All right.
And
Thanks.
on this, I have a few more minutes, but I would really request Karthik and Shravani, if you can talk about your experience and especially include the dimension of, the innovation being part of the growing up process as part of the curriculum itself. Karthik.
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Manish. Well, I would just like to start with a huge thank you to the entire Team Blue Blocks and entire staff and all the parents community also, and we are always grateful, for the opportunity that we had an experience of being Montessori parents and having had our daughter grown up in Blue Blocks for the past 7 years. Yeah, 7 years or so. It's a enriching experience for us as parents. So I would like to have Shravani go first and we'll come back. He's to Shravani.
So, hi everybody. We are Karthik and Shravani, and we are very much as a new parent, and we really want our child to be independent, and we are actually looking. So we kind of went to Blue Blocks for a parent session, and we attended that, and really that was eye opening for us, and that really gave us the whole perspective of what the going forward education has to be. What actually what I am looking for is there in that. So yeah, we really wanted our daughter to be there in, and that's how my daughter came in there, around 2.9 or so. So, and after going there, and a few months later, then she developed the independence which I'm looking for. And the language she picked up and the vocabulary she's using, that really, interests me more, of what this Montessori is about. What is this? What is making the child more, doing as such, like, as we see a lot of difference between the, neighboring child and my child, right? So that way, we went through, some of the books we have, and the parent education, sessions Blue Blocks conducts, that really helped us. That gave us the, essence of what the, what child can do, what the child is capable of, and we just followed their, guidance. That's what I can tell. And the directors, really, pitched in, and they really support. That support we can't forget, because that is how, helped our daughter to move forward. Now I know, as our daughter is 9.5 now, and she is very much independent at 8 years old, and she is very much independent. And I thought, now I need to go ahead and do more about Montessori, know more about what it is. And that's when I have taken the training in a primary, and now I have it's a really privilege, and I have joined Blue Blocks. It's a couple of days right now, and this is definitely, it is not about the career. I just entered because of my passion towards, how I know how my daughter has come up from one stage to other stage. So I want to be, part of that, transition of the child. So that was my thing. And now, in this pandemic stage, in the environment, and at the home, we see a lot of innovation happening at home. So that no, that one I would like to invite Karthik to speak about. So it is like a daughter and father thing. So
Well, just trying to put me on spot, right? Well, yeah, I mean, it's a pleasure, watching a child grow up in front of our eyes. It's a privilege, I can say. And that quality of experience, actually, I mean, I'm enjoying that quality of experience because of what we got educated through the parenting workshops in the Blue Blocks, and that right perspective towards being a good parent, right? And I mean, all the parents are good. I'm just saying that the the right thing to be as a parent for our child, all those things, certain things give us that the quality of experience being a father had been worthwhile for me. Well, I will just jump into the topic. Okay, can speak on and go right off the track. But from the innovation perspective, I had a very good experience working with children. I mean, I have basically volunteered some hours with Blue Blocks, and been on the advisory board for our drone lab. I'm sure Munira might share more about that later. But well, I remember one story I'll just quickly share with. I'm not very sure whether it is a really real story or not, but I think one child once upon a time approached Einstein and asked him, if I want to become a great scientist like you, how much of science do I need to learn? And Einstein replied saying that you don't have to learn a lot of science. You just need to love science. That's what he said, right? I mean, it is a love towards science actually made him scientist, actually, right? Not the academic science theory and all that. Well, that is how I could relate the entire Montessori pedagogy as well, with respect to the innovation realm, right? When I remember in my school days, I mean, of course, not putting my school, I still love my school. I still am a very good alumni there. And whenever I go there, I try to meet my principal and all that. I love that environment, but we didn't have a chance to do much of a practical work, right? We always sat most of the time in the classroom, getting to know a lot from our teachers and trying to understand, struggling to by heart the formulas and much more struggling to reproduce in the exams, but never really trying to apply it in the real life, right? By the time we tried to apply in the real life, we forgot the concept. But we probably might have had 1 or 2 classes here and there. We had a lab, it's a namesake lab in the school, but I came back from a small town, Varangal, right? Not in the city. So never got a chance to work in a lab, but it was always my dream to, be in a lab, work with the material, invent something, make something, all that was all unfulfilled desires, what I'm saying, right? So as and when Pawan and Munira, they opened up the innovation lab in Blue Blocks. And when we all parents, when we went there and they opened up that space, it was like a paradise for me. It was like, wow, I wish I go back as a Blue Blocks child now and spend there, right? And we sat there. Yeah, I'm sure many of you might be relating to the same experience. And we sat there, tinkering with all those things. It was such a pleasure. I thought, okay, me as an adult, 40 plus, I'm feeling this kind of a feeling. My daughter would have definitely love it, right? I mean, as a matter of fact, they took a survey with the children in Blue Blocks, and when they rated all the different environments, which was the most favorite place, guess what the children have actually rated the most as? I mean, not the playground or anything else, right? They rated innovation space as the innovation lab as the #1. The reason I say is that, well, all the theory and everything is well and good, but all the theory is going to really sink in when we work with our own hands and build something, right? So, well, I would say I had a pleasure and a privilege to work on, contribution towards designing the curriculum of our innovation experiments that we are doing. I'm just closely working with innovation mentors. And in the drone lab, I closely work with our drone mentor also. And since I have a little background, so I'm going to have my master's in electrical engineering and minor in mathematics and all that, and passion towards this. So I take the opportunity to spend some quality time with my child also. Before I go any further and bore you more, I would like to share my screen and quickly just go through some slides that would actually make it a little interesting. I hope so. Just give me a minute to share my screen here. Let me know if you're able to see my screen, right? Okay. All right. Okay, let me remove this off here. Okay. All right, for us, we wanted to share our experiences.
Hi, Krishna.
The slides that we are going to show, don't expect that slide is going to be my child. That's me, right? Well, I know that was a thanks for the lockdown, I would say. I got a chance to learn a lot from my daughter. I was thinking mathematics. I always thought that I would teach a lot to my daughter. Okay, I have a master's in mathematics. Come on. So I thought, okay, there is nothing that I can't teach my daughter about mathematics. I would looking forward to teach her a lot of advanced concepts about calculus, differential equations and all that, right? But guess what? On that day, I had to learn multiplication from my daughter. It was 3-digit to 3-digit multiplication, and she did a great job teaching me how to do that. And I enjoyed that time with her, actually. So I wanted to start with that. That's one of the serendipity, I can say that. And, well, some of the few prototypes my daughter did, like I said, right? Okay, she might not, even if I ask her, she might not say what is Newton's first law, second law, third law, and all that. But she realized so many science concepts, practically, and that's more important for me, And she was able to apply all that. And we talk a lot about problem solving. Whenever we have a leak situation in our house, we involve our daughter and ask her, what we can do with that, right? She tells her solutions. So that's the kind of environment now we are trying to create. So this is an interesting prototype that my daughter came up with. It was actually in the midnight. Okay, she was like really excited, and I didn't know why she was excited about it. And she woke me up and she said, "Daddy, I got a brilliant idea. I got a brilliant idea. I want to do it. Okay. So I said, okay, can this wait till the morning? She says, no, I want to tell you everything about it now. And she came to me. Okay, I woke up and she came up with an idea that, she has goggles and she wanted to put a camera in the back of the goggles right here, right? In the back here, so that if you put the goggles, we can view 360 degrees from the back side and the front side. So that's her idea. She wants to give these goggles to all the policemen to catch the thieves in a better way and all that, right? So that was something interesting. And she was so excited, building that up, that prototype. And well, this was the realization of the Pythagoras theorem by using those, what seeds were they? Mustard seeds, yeah. So if we put all the mustard seeds in those two little squares, the same seeds will fill up the same space in the big square. So it's like a square plus b square equal to c square. Well, that's exactly what Pythagoras theorem is, right? But a child realizing that sensorially and appreciating the fact that, hey, this square and this square add up to become this square is, and they can never forget the rest of their life, right? Yeah, this was a Hot Wheel car, she built, and well, this is the realization of Newton's Toddler, right? When we blow the balloon and leaves, the car was actually running. So it was very interesting thing that she had built. And this is something that she learned in the drone lab, like, how the airfoil works, right? How the lift works. When the air hits that airfoil, it produces a lift, and that is how the airplane develops the lift and works against the gravity. So all these little things, I feel that they create a huge impact to a child. When they really look at how airplane work, it would all come together very clearly at that time for them, because they all know these concepts now, right? My daughter and I were building together. We were just working in her Hot Wheel track to create a bridge with that, and the bridge was falling down, when we increased that length. So we came out with a concept of, cable bridge. So she enjoyed that activity and understand how the cables work. When there is no possibility of putting those columns down into the river, we can actually cables. So that's how the suspension cables of the bridge work, right? So it was interesting, actually. It was the gift that she had presented me on Father's Day, the entire solar system. Okay. So, well, it was a surprise for me, but I loved it, actually. I really loved it. And the way she came up with the ideas and everything. She loves art and crafts. And there is no differentiation between, okay, this is art and crafts and this is science. Everything is mixed. That's the beauty of it, right? Well, and okay, this is the playhouse that she built, and she's still doing it from the past 4 months now, I think. Yeah, we got a TV after a very long time. We never had a TV at our house. And finally, okay, this is a lockdown period. We thought, okay, let's get a better visual of all the classes and even our, virtual meetings. I thought it would be better to get a smart TV. So we got it. But more than spending the time on the TV, she spends more time on this packaging material. She's so excited with that boxes, right? The TV boxes and everything. And that TV is just now in the corner. That's very rarely turned on, but a lot of the time we see her spending, building her playhouse. She adds a lot of accessories into it. She spends most of the time, a lot of her classes she attends sitting there, actually. So that is her space, her own private space. I had to take her permission to take a picture. I just took it now. But yeah, this is something that a lot of interesting things happen in our house. It's a lot of mess always. When you enter our house now, nobody is coming, so it's okay. But if you enter our house, you would see it's full of all cardboard material and all this thermocol material, every mess all over. And I think that is how the elementary child's house would be, maybe. But yeah, well, we just want to share all this. Anything else? Yeah, that's it. Just from the perspective that, okay, couldn't have done all this and we couldn't have got into this mindset if our daughter were going to a traditional school. As much as we parents every parent tries to, I think right now every parent tries to give a holistic education to a child, but the environment also matters a lot, right? So if not for being part of a Montessori school and being a Montessori parent, all this environment wouldn't have happened at our house. All this my daughter, and none of these experiences would have happened, right? So I'm really, again, to say very privileged and honored to call myself as a Montessori parent. And yes, Ravani did her course, and I really want to do it too. I don't know how I am going to do it, with a full-time job, and we have a full-time family business. And but I took a resolution that I will do it, to understand children more, because now I started working with children. I could feel that there is some gap, that I know about children. So I'm looking forward to that, actually. So with this, I'm done. I think a lot of back to Manish.
Thank you
Over
for
to you, Manish.
sharing
Thank you. Thank you.
such amazing experiences. Yeah. Can you hear me well? Okay. So, thank you so much. And I think just about on time to take any questions from anybody on the call so far. I mean, it's been a lot of experience sharing. This is what it was meant to be. But we also want to make sure that we hear out if you have any questions, clarifications right now, please bring it up. Happy to have Monira on the call to answer those as well. Anybody, feel free to unmute yourself and please go ahead.
Hey, Tarun here.
Yeah, Tarun.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I think it was Shravani who was talking about books that he read. So it would be great if you could suggest few. Okay, let me give me my background as well. I'm a new parent now. My daughter is 6 months, and it happened to be that Pawan gave one of his talks at our office, one of our office virtual meetings, and that's when I sort of got interested into this Montessori thing. So I just wanted to understand more. I mean, I do have at least 1.5 years now before my baby is old enough to get there. But what are those books that you've been following, or any articles that you've been following, so that I'll get started?
Monira, you want to take that?
Yeah, I think the question is directed towards Shravani. So Shravani basically did her Montessori, AMI Montessori training. It's a diploma program that she did. So I think, when she shared that she did the training, you probably thought she's read books and done it. But no, this is a proper diploma program. It's an internationally certified diploma that she has taken up almost, I think, an 8-month program now, right? Yeah, so that's what she did, Tarun. But if you really want to understand more about your child and the developments, then there are a lot of books available, a lot of Montessori books available that you can read. There is A Secret of Childhood, which is a really good book that you can read up. It is by Dr. Maria Montessori. And Pawan and I have also written a book on parenting. Okay, so
I love
Sandhya
it.
has
Right, I heard of that
I
already.
have to get this.
It's
This
called
is my-
Lining the Nest.
Yes, and Munira, this is something that I read in the nights. I read in the morning if I'm skipping through for my 2-year-old, and it is just amazing. Yay! Yes, Umehani's also got it.
So my children get very excited because the
So
book has my name on it. So that's the reason she's showing it to you, Tarun. But you can get a copy, and I hope it helps you.
Sure.
For anything else, you could reach out to us. You're also here at a very opportune time. We are about to begin our Toddler homeschooling program, which is a 3-month program. I'll quickly share screen just for you to have an idea about what it is.
Sure.
Just give me a moment, okay? So we are doing this 3-month program for children between the age of 1 to 3 years. But you could join this program where you understand, like you will get more parenting sessions on a weekly basis, where you will understand a little bit more about your child. And there are a lot of questions that we can basically address as we have these sessions for you. So the details of this program is available on our website. You can look it up. You'll also get a homeschooling kit, but since your child is too young right now, I think the activities are something that you can use with her. Is it a baby girl or a baby boy?
It's a baby girl.
Okay, So you can use the materials with her when she grows up a little more. Okay. So this is something you can access and take benefit from. Thank you so much for asking that question, Tarun.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Open to the floor, actually. So any questions, feel free. It's a very democratic way of education. So it's a very democratic way of also engaging with each other. So please go ahead. All right, in the chat, I think we have one of the Blue Blocks representatives also share the details. So you can always feel free to get in touch with them. If you still want further details from any of us parents as well, we have shared you in 5 to 10 minutes, but it's been at least 3 to 4 years for each one of us. So happy to share all the good experiences, what we had to adjust to, etc. But all in the interest of bringing up a good human being in a family. So feel free. And with that, Munira, with your permission, I think we are done with the session. And thank you so much to my fellow Blue Block parents and sharing some amazing stories. In fact, I will also get in touch with you guys to hear some more. These were something very special. So that's it from our side as Blue parents of Blue Block children. And with that, have a good day and a good weekend and spend more time with family. Take care of yourselves, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Such an initiative. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, Myra.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Good morning.